The animation opens inside a home in a small town named Gifu where a little black cat named Rudolph lives. It is a bright day and this cat is held by its owner's daughter and they sleep on the couch. Rudolph has never been outside and always spends all his time inside the house as the pet cat that he is. One day, the young girl prepares to go out to the grocery store and the little cat tries to follow her, but he is held back by his owners. The girl heads out and closes the doors and gate, but Rudolph runs out through the window and tries to go out through the gate. All these efforts are futile, so the cat climbs to the roof when it sees another older cat and they both engage in a discussion. Rudolph looks around the city from the rooftop and doesn't notice that a strong breeze has pushed the gate open, but the other cat alerts him. He then happily runs outside and chases after his owner's daughter. Rudolph sees her and goes after her but is nearly hit by a bus, and he ducks to not be hit. He is later hit by a bike that he does not see approaching and is tossed into a cooler of fish at a stall. He comes out of the container with a fish in his mouth, and the stall owner arrives at the scene. The stall owner angrily chases after Rudolph with a brush, while the little cat runs away from him into a moving truck. Rudolph leaps into the truck and luckily gets in, but is soon hit by a flying brush thrown by the stall owner, making him fall unconscious in the truck. The little cat later regains consciousness, and he looks outside the truck and sees that it is dark and the truck is in an unknown area. The next morning, the vehicle finally arrives at its destination and Rudolph leaps out of it with a fish in his mouth and runs across the road, evading vehicles and other pedestrians. He realizes that he is in a new town, and he passes through a corner that takes him to another block. Here, he sees a tiger-like cat named Godalot who asks him for the fish he carries. Rudolph is scared of this cat and drops the fish and runs towards the traffic. He is almost hit by a vehicle, but Godalot quickly intervenes and pulls him out of the way. He takes Rudolph back into the block and observes that he is not a stray cat like him. Godalot asks Rudolph about how he ended up in Tokyo, and the little cat tells him his story and reveals that he is lost and offers Godalot the fish so that he would be able to stay with him. Godalot accepts the offer as he eats the fish and asks Rudolph to follow him, which he does, and they arrive at a temple where they would spend the night. At night, Rudolph feels cold and struggles to sleep as he is not used to spending the night outside and in an uncomfortable environment. The next morning, Godalot and Rudolph walk about the town to different spots to beg for food, and Rudolph learns that Godalot is given plenty of names by the people he encountered. And when he asks Godalot if he was a pet cat, he leaves in a huff. Rudolph then walks the streets alone and soon notices that he is being followed, but later finds out that it is another cat that has been following him. This cat goes by the name Butchie, and he has a habit of imitating martial arts moves. Butchie knows Rudolph's name already and mentions to him that he has been secretly watching the little cat. He also speaks of Godalot's praises and tells Rudolph that Godalot is a popular cat on the street. They start walking together along the street, and Butchie takes Rudolph to a cage that belongs to a dangerous bulldog named Devil. He describes the ferociousness of the dog, and Rudolph gets terrified at the imagination. They later run off as they notice that the dog has woken up from its sleep. He also tells Rudolph about a dangerous dog by the name of Devil. As they move along the market, Butchie tells Rudolph several stories, including Godalot's fight against a Doberman. They later part ways as Butchie sees a beautiful cat and goes after her, but say their goodbyes to each other. Returning to the temple, Rudolph notifies Godalot about all the stories of his past that Butchie told him. Godalot then tells him his story, explaining that he was not always a stray cat but had a master. He takes Rudolph to his former house and explains that next to Devil's house was where his owner used to live until he went to the United States, leaving him. He mentions to Rudolph that his owner taught him the ability to read and write. They later see Devil on their way back home, and he taunts them about their homelessness. Early morning the next day, Godalot takes Rudolph with him, and they sneak into the town school, and Butchie tags along. They enter an empty classroom, and Godalot brings out some books and begins teaching the two cats. Rudolph and Butchie are intrigued by the content of the books, and Rudolph immediately asks Godalot to teach him how to read and write. Godalot then commences to teach Rudolph how to read and write words, and the little cat gradually learns to become literate. Days go by and Rudolph learns to read, write, and understand the Japanese characters. One day, Godalot and Rudolph both go to a librarian's house to check out some books. The man later serves them food, and after eating, Rudolph sees his hometown on TV as it is known for its cable cars and castles. Got-a-lot then explains to the little cat that his hometown is very far from where they are and over 100 miles away. But Rudolph does not listen and makes the reckless decision of trying to head back home without planning. He runs out and gets into a truck that he thinks is headed to his home, but does not know that what he entered was a freezer truck. Got-a-lot and Butchie chase after the truck and rescue Rudolph, who is already frozen in a small block of ice, and free him, after which Got-a-lot berates Rudolph for almost freezing to death, and he walks off, leaving a sad Rudolph. Autumn comes, and one rainy night, a poster about a tour bus to Gifu gets stuck on the window where Rudolph and Got-a-lot are staying for the night. Rudolph is excited about this, so they make inquiries through Butchie and find out that the bus will arrive some days later, early in the morning. Later in the day, Butchie and Rudolph are excitedly discussing Rudolph's forthcoming trip, and Got-a-lot excuses himself from their company. In the evening, Butchie arrives at the temple and informs Rudolph that something terrible has happened to Got-a-lot. They both run to the scene and see an injured Got-a-lot lying unconscious on the floor. The two cats try to lift him, but they have no strength, so Rudolph tells Butchie to watch over Got-a-lot as he alerts the librarian and leads him to the scene. The librarian says that Got-a-lot is still alive as he carries the injured cat to a doctor for medical attention. They follow him but can't gain access inside the hospital. While outside, Butchie explains to Rudolph how Got-a-lot got hurt. He explains that the big cat had gone to Devil to ask him for some beef so he could give them to Rudolph for his trip. But the dog attacked him after lying to him and getting Got-a-lot to bring down his guard. Rudolph sheds tears as he hears this story, and he feels bad for the big cat. The librarian finally comes out of the hospital and then tells the cats that Got-a-lot would be staying with him all through his recovery period of 2 weeks. In the librarian's house, Got-a-lot apologizes for making Rudolph worry, and Rudolph thanks him for watching over him in the city as he says goodbye. Butchie and Rudolph walk along the streets and arrive at Devil's place. Butchie is scared, but Rudolph courageously leaps into the compound and dares Devil to fight. A fight breaks out between the cat and the dog, with Devil having the upper hand as he is very ferocious. The fight advances, and despite Devil having the home advantage, Rudolph defeats him, sending him into a pool of water. The bulldog cannot swim, and he asks for help from Rudolph and Butchie. The two cats then make him swear that he will not bully any cat ever again, and he agrees to what they request of him, after which they hand him a broom. Rudolph returns to Got-a-lot and lies to him that he missed the tour bus, so he could stay with the big cat as he recovers fully. The months pass by and Rudolph becomes a well-experienced street cat, while Got-a-lot is fully recovered but isn't coming outside much. Spring comes and Butchie falls in love, and he announces it to Rudolph, who congratulates him. Rudolph later takes a walk and meets with Devil, who is still humbled by his loss during their fight. Devil reveals to Rudolph that he and Got-a-lot used to be good friends. He tells the black cat that when Got-a-lot's owner was still around, they were close and even shared food. But their friendship ended after his owner left and Got-a-lot became a stray cat. Devil apologizes to Rudolph and hands him his food to give to Got-a-lot as his token of apology. The next day, Got-a-lot strolls with Rudolph and later teaches him about the license plates of cars, signifying where they come from, along with the characters written on them. At night, Butchie, Rudolph, and Got-a-lot all sit together with Devil in his cage, and they crack jokes and have fun. On their way home, Got-a-lot mentions to Rudolph that he would be going to the United States. This news shocks everyone, and he explains that his owner isn't going to return to his house anytime soon as it is being renovated. The next day, Rudolph gets on a truck headed out of the city and says his goodbyes to Got-a-lot, Butchie, and Misha. His vehicle commences on the journey and arrives at the park at night. Rudolph then alights and walks around the park as he reads the license numbers of the different vehicles until he sees the one that is headed towards his route. He joins the vehicle, and it conveys him to another park, where he searches for the vehicle that is going to his hometown. Rudolph finally arrives at his town, but he is tired from the journey and does not know the next direction to take. He sleepily walks along the road and is almost hit by a car, so he runs off the road. He arrives at a bridge where he looks across and sees a landmark that he could recognize. Rudolph gets excited as he recollects his way, and he runs across the street to his home. When he enters the house, he sees his owner's daughter sleeping on the couch, so he walks to meet her. He is then shocked by another black kitten who looks just like him inside the house. The kitten introduces himself and Rudolph finds out that it is his younger brother who had lived in the house after he disappeared. Rudolph then walks towards the girl who is still sleeping, and she subconsciously holds on to him like she used to. Moments later, he realizes that the family can't have more than one cat, so Rudolph leaves the house and runs as fast as he can across the streets to catch up with the truck that is leaving for Tokyo. Upon returning to Tokyo, Rudolph arrives at the temple and finds it empty. He walks around the different rooms but sees no sign of Godalat. He then comes outside and sees an airplane in the sky and sadly concludes that the big cat is on his way to America. Soon, Butchie and his girlfriend, Misha, arrive at the temple and are excited to see him. They then reveal to Rudolph that Godalat decided to stay back in Tokyo. Behind Rudolph, Godalat appears and informs all of them that he had planned to leave the country for America, but his former owner returned. Godalat's owner made a lot of money in America after selling his business. Rudolph then walks to him and embraces him as he shed tears of joy. The cats all head towards Godalat's house and are received by their owner with open arms. Later at night, Godalat, Butchie, Misha, and Rudolph, who is renamed Crow, are served dinner along with a few stray cats. While eating, they see Devil calling to them from the next compound, so they rush to the fence to meet him, and he shows them his new swimming techniques. They return to their house and the cats play and have fun, while Godalat and Rudolph sit at the top of the roof looking at the night sky, looking forward to the future. This is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. See you soon with a new video. Till then, stay happy and chill out.